Hello and welcome to another presentation brought to you by UFOs and conspiracyinfo.com. I've actually covered this topic in my previous video, image PIA17931. I've already covered it, but my last video was about half an hour. I've got a lot more clarity. I've presented a better compilation of images to get through it quicker, and I've done a blog. The blog's in my description. The link's there. Also, the link to the actual NASA JPL image, so that you can check out the original image from the official source itself. So you can do that. And I'm just going to quickly go through because I think this is a very important image. And the thing about this image is you take a look at it and you think, oh, well, that's just a normal Martian desert like any other. And we see these images all the time and we just kind of browse through them and we think nothing of it. We think, well, it's kind of lifeless, barren, there's nothing to see here type thing. But in actual fact, you zoom in, you start looking around, and not all the images, but some of them, and this one in particular, or not even in particular, but this one included, I should say, is actually full of evidence of a ruined civilization. Okay, now that's a big statement to make, and I'm going to qualify that statement in my presentation. And I'm going to be going through my information quite quickly, so if you want to pause the video at any point, then do so and then press play, or just go to my blog and you can take your time and read through it and see the screenshots that I put there in the blog. So it's also going to be linked as well. Okay, so why is this image of particular interest to me? Well, I'll tell you why. This image is actually talked about quite a bit because there's a couple of obvious anomalies that you can spot quite easily in this image, of which I'll show you in a moment. And my way of thinking is, why would there be something, something that would tell you, okay, well, there was obviously someone here and they crafted this object and this object's not natural, so there's evidence that someone was behind this. But why would you have a random object in the middle of the desert with nothing around it? Okay, it doesn't make sense. If you're on the Earth and you go into the desert, I mean, we've got a lot of desert on the Earth, and you can be in the middle of the desert hundreds of miles from any town or city, and you wouldn't expect to find something completely random that was like man-made in the middle of a desert on the Earth. Okay, if it was miles and miles away from a road and even further away from a town or a city, and if you did find something, you'd expect to find other things around the vicinity of where you found that thing to give that thing some context, so that so that you can tell a story. And that's exactly what's happening here. So I sort of analysed this image in quite some depth because I thought it was worthy of analysis because of the fact that you had this famous object right here that people often talk about. And I'll show you it right here. It's basically a face. It's quite clearly defined. You got the eyeball, and you've got the cheekbone, you've got the nose, you've got the mouth. It's kind of, it gets embedded in the sand a little bit, but here you've got like a head, like a hat of some kind. It just looks very much like a human face, a statue head or something. And then behind that you've got like a crafted stone that could be a pillar or something. So, it on its own is not evidence of like, wow, this is amazing. It could be like just a freak of nature that erosion has created these features that look like a face. It could be a case of pareidolia. But if we look around and find other things, and then when they start mounting up, then all of a sudden we've got a very strong case of suspicion that there could be, something going on here. So, you zoom in and you see so much. I mean, there's so much detail here. And I'm going to show you exactly what I found in my screenshots. And it took me about 4 hours to study this. So you can spend the same amount of time if you want. Or if you just want to take my word for it, go ahead. I've not doctored any images. I've just literally zoomed in, done screenshots, and that's it. I don't even know how to enhance images or anything like that. I wish I did. Okay, so first of all, you see me moving around here. There's a reason for it. What I want to do is I want to make a bit of an outrageous claim before we go on, and suggest that on the horizon we've got ruins of buildings, or even buildings intact. I don't know, because when you zoom in this far, you lose quality. It gets pixelated. It's very difficult to make things out. That's why we're getting this part of the presentation over and done with, and then we can look at the more clearer, more definite things in just a second. Okay, but why am I looking for houses? Right? Okay, well, so there's obviously something as well. There's, I don't know, obviously we can't get any kind of clarity with that, it's too far away. Okay, there's this here, looks like some kind of a structure there potentially. And I'm saying potentially because it's, like I say, it's just too hard to tell. Here we've got like some shapes, rectangular shapes, dark spaces where maybe there's openings. I don't know. Okay, but the reason I'm doing this is because I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm finding evidence in the foreground, right, of that people were living here. Okay, again, it sounds outrageous, but you're going to understand me a lot better as I continue on. Okay. Also, what struck me, and I'll just make a very quick point of this, is that you'll notice the mountains there in the background. There's a hint of green. What's that about? You know, there's not supposed to be any oxygen. Obviously, plant life create oxygen. So if there's plant life, there's going to be a lot more oxygen in the air. And oxygen is something that's very scarce on Mars. There's not supposed to be hardly any. So what's that about? I mean, are we completely lied to about the atmospheric composition? I don't know. And this isn't what the video is about. So we're just going to move on. Okay, so as I said, what you do is you kind of zoom in and you start looking around here. You see all kinds of anomalies, things that don't fit. I mean, there's rocks, and then there's things that are not rocks, and I'm going to show you exactly what they are, okay? And then you can decide for yourself, okay? So, let me see. Okay, now, with my screen recording software, it makes everything really slow, so the pictures take a little while to load. So you might want to jump ahead a few seconds every time you see this happening in the video. Alright, so we've seen that. Okay, this is another reason why people talk about this image a lot. Okay, and it's funny, every time I look at my own pictures that I've saved, I see more bits and pieces that I didn't see previous. You know, like I've just noticed that's potentially like a piece of wood. But anyway, I'm going to kind of stay focused on what I do know that I found. So this is like a round object, flat base with a wall around it. So like a dish or a tray or something, and it's embedded in the sand. So people have taken that to be some kind of an artificial anomaly. Okay. All right. Now this is very important. Okay. I want to discuss this. Now here, what we see is a continuous line of stone. Okay, and then a cross, and then I'm assuming down here as well. So we're looking at potentially a perfect rectangle shape. It to me looks like the foundation of a building or a house. On top is very level, and I believe that this is very possibly a foundation. Would you agree? Okay, so if that's the case, then what's happened to all the junk and all the interior that belongs to the people that live in the area, including the house? Okay, so I've been looking all around the area very carefully. Here's the first thing I'm going to show you. This, I believe, is one of my favourites. I couldn't believe my eyes when I laid eyes upon this. Okay, so we're looking at this item right here where you see my mouse. What we're looking at here is, I can't say wood, because how on earth am I going to tell the material of what I'm looking at? But we'll say wood or plastic or whatever. But here we've got a perfect plank. Or a wooden panel. We got a perfect rectangle. Look at the straightness of that line. That's a perfectly straight line up, a straight line across. That's a plank of wood, you know. And also, if that's not impressive enough, we've got two grooves, top and bottom, in a perfect straight line, going right the way down as well. So, you know, it's not even just a perfect rectangle. It's a patterned panel of wood, plastic, whatever. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next image. Now, what we see here, again, it stunned me. Okay, we see actually a lot in this picture, but this is what I want to refer to, where you see my mouse right here. It's like a V-shaped, it looks to be a metallic object, but again, we don't know that. Okay, but you'll notice there's a jaggedness, like teeth, not like an animal or human teeth. I'm talking about like a jagged, like it's some kind of a tool. It's like a nutcracker type size and shape by the look of it, and it's a tool of some kind or a brace or something. You got like the teeth here. Amazing. I mean, possibly that's even a rag, an old dirty rag that's over it. I don't know. I mean, like that is definitely worth consideration. I mean, that's not a natural rock, is it? Come on. Okay. Now here on the rock, we've got like, I don't know if they're burns. It doesn't look like a shadow because there's no shape or form to it. I mean, here's straggly. It's like a scribble, as if someone scribbled on this rock. You know, so it's strange. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next one. And what we see here is very strange because it's I can only describe it as a picture frame. Okay, it's a square or rectangle. There's a corner there, and it's black. Doesn't belong in the background. It doesn't belong among the rocks. You know, very strange. Even looks potentially like it's got a silver outline to it. Okay, which is odd. And there's actually other anomalies in this picture that we're looking at as well, but I'm just going to get through them quickly. Sometimes it's good for me to not point out things because of the power of suggestion. If you can see things yourself, it's even better. Okay, so here we've got what I believe to be a symbol on a rock. Okay, so it could be a crack, but it could very well be a symbol. It's a marking, okay, which is odd. And we see that a lot, and that's why it took my attention, because I'm going to show you more right now. Okay, so right here we see another marking. This time it's white rather than black. Okay, so you've got like a Z here, and you got a symbol here of some kind. It could be salt or crystal or something. There could be some natural explanation for it. Okay, but it just seems bizarre to me. You know, you got like more lines down here. But hey, check this out, right? Here we got like a figure, all right? This is like a figure with a head and a neck and a torso and legs and possibly an arm, I don't know. But here we got like a bird, okay, with an eye and a tail, and it's a bird shape, bird head. Weird, very weird. You know, maybe I'm seeing what I want to see, but I mean that's what it looks like to me. You've got to decide if it looks that way to you. If it doesn't, then just dismiss it. But when I take everything into context, I mean, it's very feasible. Okay, so here it looks again like a piece of wood, very definitely shaped with straight lines. That's, you know, part of something or something, I don't know. And then right here we got yet another symbol, black symbol. It looks very definitely drawn to me. It really does. Here again, another one. It's a bit more messy. But yeah, I mean, this one doesn't. This one looks very neat. Okay. Now the next one is I think it's more markings. Here we got this square picture frame type thing yet again, but then I think it's like a marking in this rock this time. You know, and all kinds of things. I mean, that looks like a square box, metallic as well. So there's just all kinds of things going on in this picture. Okay, I'm going to try and move through them quick. Okay, here we got fragments of rock. Okay, looks like a lot of smashed up bits of rock here, so maybe it's even clay, you know. Whatever it is fragile. I mean, this is weird, right here where my mouse is. But what I was bringing up to show you, this looks like an arrowhead, but hey, let's not run away with ourselves. But here we've got like two lines here, markings, and more markings here. So we got yet more markings. Okay. Right here we've got a few things which are of interest. This is a strange object. It's like a ribbed object. Don't know what that is. Here we've got something very interesting. It looks like a little basket or a pot. We see a round base and then a tapered body. It almost looks textured or patterned. So that's very odd. This is like a strip of lead, with look curled up here. Don't know what that is. So yeah, again, it's for you to decide if you think there's something significant there. Okay, so the next one, what we see here, and every time I look at it, I've got to remind myself. Yeah, here, this is, I think, clearer on my blog. I think it's a bit too pixelated to see. Maybe it's not fully loaded, but yeah, I remember seeing it very clearly. It's like a pipe. It's a pipe right here. Okay. But yeah, clearer on my blog. So do go to my blog, even if it's very quickly, because you see this clearer. When I maybe took this image, I maybe zoomed in just a bit too far and lost some of it, of the clarity. Okay, so right here, I'm almost afraid to show you this image. I'm very afraid to show you this image because what I'm looking at right here, if you look at my mouse, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at this. And this in particular, because it's a bit more clear, you can see tread, you can see pattern there, okay? And the shape of it just reminds me of a car tire. It's like obviously half buried in the rocks. And, these two look like car tires. I'm not suggesting that there's cars on Mars, or even car tires on Mars. I don't know what they are, but that's the resemblance. This object here is also very definite shaped and very defined as well. Don't know what it is. Maybe the ruins of a home. That's what I think most of this is that we're looking at is ruins of buildings. Bits and pieces and shit. Okay, so here, if I didn't know any better, if I didn't know I was looking at a picture from Mars, I would swear that that was a book right there. Okay, I don't know, but it looks like a book to me. It looks up here like we got some kind of a tool, a shaft with two prongs here, and yeah, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot here. It was actually a friend of mine that pointed this out and said it was potentially a nut. So who knows? Let's go on to the next one. Right here, very bizarre. I don't even know what to say to you. I don't know what that is that we're looking at. It's on the ground. It's like a gold color or copper color or something. It's some piece of technology. It's absolutely not a rock. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a pointed rock like a rod with gold around it. I've never seen one before, and I don't think I ever will. So I don't know what that is, but it's something. Something that doesn't belong. Okay, so here I was really spooked because, again, we see so much. If you want to spend a few minutes looking around this image, but what stood out at me is I saw like these two eyes, and this whole shape and dark color here looks in the form of some kind of a creature, a mammal, and I feel so awkward saying it. Like we're looking at ruins, it's supposed to be lifeless, and yet this looks like an animal standing right there, possibly with a beak and two eyes and a body, which is strange. And I'm telling you what things look like to me, not saying that they're like absolutely cast iron promise that that's what they are. Okay, so here we're looking at a potential building plot again that's ruined, maybe. And here as well, this is like obviously a rectangle type shape that's different colour to the surrounding. Maybe something stood here once upon a time as well. Okay, so we've just got 3 more images, so bear with me. Here I think it's very interesting because we've got a very straight line where two stones have been put together. So I would be very curious as to what lies beneath this sand. And like I said in my last video that I did, I think archaeologists would just love it on Mars. If they were there, I think they would have a great time. I think they'd find so much, Okay, so right here, I just picked this out because it was bizarre. I mean, that looks weird to me. That long piece doesn't even look stone to me. And then this right here, I mean, it looks like wood. I mean, you don't see thin, straggly, spindly rock like that. Well, I haven't. I've never seen it. Maybe I need to sit down and have a cup of coffee with a geologist. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist, I believe, to spot that there's abnormalities all over this picture. Okay? So right here what we see is, again, a perfect rectangle with perfect lines. If I was to sum up this picture in a few words, I'd say that there's too many perfect lines, to be natural. It also doesn't even look stone. Again, it looks wood. This looks like wood to me. It looks like potentially that we see a line here. Potentially that's a lid that even comes off. Yeah? So it looks like a lid. It looks like a box or something, some kind of entrance or some kind of something. I don't know, a wardrobe or something, whatever. I mean, it could be any number of things. It could be hundreds of different things. And it's obviously going into the ground there. And we're lucky enough to see this part of it. Okay, so very strange. This is strange. I mean, there's so many strange things all around. Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, do see my blog if you're intrigued and want to know more. Yeah, please comment in the comments below, and tell me if there's any particular one that really stood out to you. And thank you for watching.